know what? I take back what I said about the 15-liter engine being a necessity for heavy haul. Turns out my truck is suffering from derating or loss of power because for the past 2 days I was driving with the check engine light on, and the truck was driving like, you know, like normal, kind of like mediocre, you know, and I'm so used to it that I was really surprised this morning when I woke up at 5:30 in where was I? In Pendleton, Kentucky, just east of Louisville, Kentucky, and it's +1 Celsius, so 33F. And I turned the key, and for the first time in 3 days, there's no check engine light. And I'm like, what the heck? I didn't do anything. I only fueled yesterday in the middle of the day, and because, you know, sometimes it can be caused by fuel, right? Like dirty fuel or bad DEF. And so I started driving, and if anybody's familiar with this stretch of I-71 between Louisville and Cincinnati, it's very hilly, like really hilly, you know, not just like small hills, but you sit like this, like a spaceman, almost lying on your back. And so I was really surprised. Some moron is trying to move me to the next lane. People have no idea how to merge. Anyway, where was I? So yeah. So I started driving, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the truck drives like there's no tomorrow, you know, and I'm like, what the heck? So it feels like a cat, you know, like 550 horsepower, like honestly. Even though I'm not too heavy, but still I'm 78 and change, 78,000 pounds, you know, which is, if you have a step deck or drive in, that's pretty heavy, right? So you just less than 2,000 pounds under the maximum legal load in US, you know? So I have this 15-ton armored vehicle, and I'm like flying over all those hills. Of course I have to downshift, but I don't know, like 50% change from yesterday. And I called Mac, I said, okay, I'm stopping by today, even though the check engine light disappeared, but I'm pretty sure it's in the memory somewhere. So I want you guys to look into this, and why am I experiencing these surges of power like maybe 2 times in 2 weeks, and then after that it goes back to mediocre. And so it turns out there's nothing wrong with a 13-liter engine, you know. It's all this emissions, I'm pretty sure. Now, and one more thing I noticed is that my coolant, for some reason, even though it was plus 60, it was 65F, and now it's 32F, but it's not, you know, it's not freezing, and the coolant stays at 175, you know. And I had this on my International. Remember, when the temperature runs that low, it means that your thermostat can be out of, you know, can be broken, so you have to replace the thermostat. And so that's, I'll ask them to check that. So pretty much like 90% of time I'm derated. You know, I don't see the full power that this engine is capable of. So nothing wrong with the engine, nothing wrong with the Mac. Everything is wrong with this emission system, where I estimate I spend about $3,000 a year on DEF fluid and repairs of emission system, right? Just recently I spent $1,000. So it comes like, yeah, the exhaust is clean, but it comes out of my pocket, $3,000 Canadian. What is that? 2,200 US a year minimum. Why am I the only one paying for this? You know, you want free clean air, let the government chip in and either give us a tax break, you know, like when I file my taxes, give me a tax break, because I'm paying for all this clean air, right? Why is government not doing this? And we were talking about this with a friend of mine, and he said, yeah, well, the government should actually at least pay half of this fee, you know, because because I could have kept my old truck International where there's no DF and there's no emissions repairs, you know, but then of course the exhaust is dirtier than on this one. So basically, don't get me started on this emissions. And I'm really thinking, I found that in Canada it is possible to get a glider, and I found a Freightliner dealer in Hamilton, Ontario. I called them and they said, yeah, we can build a glider. And I said, wait, I thought it was not legal in Canada. I thought that in Canada the chassis must match, like the year of the chassis must match the year of the engine. The guy says, no, just call our parts department, they'll give you a quote. So basically you get a brand new truck, like the chassis, the frame, the wheels, the axles, the transmission, the drive shaft is brand new, but the engine, they give you, let's say, 2003 or 2002, and it's fully rebuilt, you know? So I'm wondering if that would be maybe a better alternative to these modern engines, where the engines are great by themselves. And now actually I agree with that marketing vice president of Mack, who was saying that 1860 torque from a 13-liter engine is the same as 1860 torque from a 15-liter engine. And during the first 2 years that I've been driving this truck, I thought, what BS? Because this truck was not pulling well, you know. But now today, and then a couple of times in the past, I just see this raw power. It's like amazing, you know. It's like it feels, it lifts up your spirits, you know, because as a driver, I really feel, you know, happy when my truck can pull, you know. It improves my spirits. It makes my job easier, less stressful. I love it. I'm in Monroe, Michigan, exit 15, I-75. Just fueled up, got some tea because it's after 12, 1:13 p.m. and it says +8 Celsius. That's BS. Feels like +2, which feels like 35 F or 40 maximum. And diesel is ridiculous. DEF is 279. I think diesel is I think it was like 265 or something, I forgot. Oh, across the street at TA it says 261. Yeah, the same here. So I check my load, check the chains, everything's good. And because, as I mentioned in my previous segment, the truck for some reason decided it's not a Mack, it's a Caterpillar. I've been driving all day today at 60 miles per hour. You guys don't understand probably, right? I normally drive at 92k an hour or 57 miles per hour. And occasionally when I'm empty, I drive at 59. Let's talk in miles, not to confuse the majority of the viewers, which are American. So yeah, mostly loaded I drive 57, empty I drive 59. And my RPM respectively at those speeds are 1400 and 1450, which is perfect because Mack claims that the fuel efficient band is 1350 to 1450, and I don't know about that. In reality, I would say it's 1400 to 1500.
In 600 meters, turn left onto the I-75 ramp to Detroit.
And so the truck started driving, you know, so nice on those hills on I-71 that I couldn't stop myself. And you know, the RPM is just slightly higher than normal. It's, you know, at 60 miles per hour I'm doing 1475, 1480, no big deal. And I look at my turbo boost, it's not too bad. So just for once I decided, you know, screw this. I just want to go fast. I know, 60 miles per hour. That's not fast. Most people drive like 70, right? But it felt really good. And the road here, and most people probably know, like professional drivers, this particular stretch from Ohio, that's what I'm talking about, from Ohio to Monroe is awful. You know, like I had to stay in the middle lane because in the right lane I was jumping all over the place. I just was afraid to lose this overpriced TAPV. And I'm driving 60 miles per hour in the middle lane, speed limit. Some guy, some day cab, of course, you know, some day cab guy who was in a big rush, passed me on the right, slowed down to 56 miles per hour in front of me, and then stood like that, like was driving like that. I was looking in his mirrors, so pretty much teaching me a lesson, and then he flipped. Then he flipped on his right signal and went into the right lane and accelerated. So I don't understand. If you went back to the right lane, that means that I was not in your way, right? Like, you're okay in the right lane, fine. I was not okay. I could not drive there because I was like this, you know. I don't want to kill my truck, and I was driving the speed limit. So some guys are just idiots. You do what you gotta do, I do what I gotta do, okay? No, but seriously, all right? If you were so in such a rush, why did you go back to the curb lane? Just stay in the center lane.
Continue on I-75 north 52 kilometers.
And I went through a bunch of more scales. Again, nobody said a word. They look at this TAPV, exit, you know? Exit to the freeway. Thank you, sir. That's what I like to see on the sign. I don't like to see park, bring papers. That, I don't know why I don't like that one. Maybe it's too many words, you know? Oh, look, another heavy hauler. The trailer is almost new, probably freshly painted. Okay, now the road is nice, but until this exit 15, honestly, you cannot drive in the curb lane in a big truck. Cars are fine. Cars, just their suspension is much better. As they used to say in Kirovograd, Ukraine, Наступна зупинка площа Кирова. Which of course I'm joking, it's not Kirov Square. The next stop is Canada. Now why are we driving 57 here? See? Uh, 98, no, I need 97. 96, what? 97. I'm talking about my cruise control, so it's set to 97k an hour. That's 60 miles per hour, and Uncle Sergei is flying by. 50 kilometers or 30 miles to the Ambassador Bridge. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say. I know often people ask me about like maintenance, and they ask me to talk about the truck. Rattles, right? All trucks develop rattles over time, except somebody told me that Peterbilt is famous for a rattle-free driving experience. And actually I was really keen on you know, getting a Peterbilt as my next truck. That vocational model that starts with 5. I think it's 578, 575 or something. And then a friend of mine says, the labor rates are too high. So I asked another friend who has a Peterbilt Classic. I said, what are your rates in Canada when you go to a Peterbilt dealer? He says 130 Canadian dollars per hour. So it was a good thing that I was sitting in my seat. I didn't fall off, you know, because at the Mac I'm only quote unquote paying 105 Canadian dollars per hour. So that's roughly 70 bucks US. So Mac is much cheaper. The rates are much cheaper. So no, Peterbilt probably is not in the cards. And speaking about rattles, no, this guy, look. As soon as I go into this lane, thinking that I'm gonna pass them, now they drive at 60 miles per hour because they see me in the mirror. Oh, sorry, I was driving too slow. No, you are not driving too slow. You are slow. Anyway, so rattles. This area over here, where all my fuses are, right, was driving me crazy. That thing was creating lots of noise, and then one guy, thank you very much, suggested that I put some insulation inside. I did that. Rattles disappeared. Now we have another source. This stupid, see this? The turn signal indicator lever. It's a very complex gadget because it combines flashing lights, like I can flash my lights when I say thank you to somebody, and on the right here it has a little button that dims my clearance lights or turns them on. So again, when I want to say thank you, I can either use one switch that flicks my headlights, low beam to high beam, or I can use this little side button here which turns off and on my clearance lights. And this thing vibrates and, you know, makes this irritating noise. And I found there's 3 screws in there under the bottom, and after I finished fueling, I went and got a screwdriver and I tightened them as much as possible. I think now it became a bit better. But the next step, if it starts doing this again, I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna fill it full of glue, because I very rarely use this button on the left side, which is clearance lights, you know, on off. I just usually use this. There's one in the middle here that flips my headlights from low beams to high beams. That's just more, you know, because mostly I don't pass people, people pass me, right? So they see my headlights. They don't see my, you know, well, they'll see my clearance lights as well, of course, in the front, but it just, anyways, I was just saying that this thing is and it's rattling right now. It's a constant source of rattle. And the truck is 2 years old, and I have, since we're talking in miles, I have just over 120,000 miles in 2 years, because I don't drive much, right? That's what I like about heavy haul, is that we don't put too many miles, which adds to the resale value. The resale value of the truck, right? Because when it's time to sell it, it's not going to be worn out, and it's not going to have too many miles or kilometers on the speedometer. But after 2 years, it starts rattling. This thing, the switch, this thing. Oh, and for 2 days I was driving with the engine light on, right? Now it, as I was mentioning before, it disappeared, and now the truck drives like a cat. I don't know what's with that, so I called the dealer and I said, guys, I don't like it. I want my truck to feel like a Mac, like it was before. No, I'm just joking. I said, I want to keep this. I said, why is it that 2 days and 2 weeks I feel this full power and then it disappears? I said, can it be because of fuel? Because I buy fuel everywhere. all over the place, and some states have bad fuel, some states have good fuel. And they said they're gonna look into it. They're gonna analyze the codes, the faults that are stored now in the computer. Well, this is the plaza, the duty-free plaza, and this is the bridge. And I started turning on the bridge, and right on the turn I see flashing lights in my mirror. And that SUV over there, the Customs SUV, stopped me. US Customs started grilling me, you know, like, does this vehicle require exporting? So basically exporting means that you have to go through a whole procedure, like go inside on the US side, you know, like basically deal with more paperwork. And I said, well, it's a military vehicle. I showed them all my paperwork. I said, we already moved a bunch of these into Canada and never had to stop on the US side. And they stopped me, and there was a jam right away because they stopped me on the corner and trucks couldn't pass. Geez, all this was filled up with trucks because of them. Not because of me, because they stopped me, right? And they told me to stop. I stopped on the corner, and then the guy comes over. Like, one guy's on the phone with the superior,
In 200 meters,
talking to him about my paperwork. And then the other guy came over and he said, please move forward. Move forward away from the turn because we are blocking everybody here. And I said, okay, let's do that. And then he got off the phone, the other guy got off the phone,
continue straight onto Ambassador Bridge.
and they gave me the paperwork and they said, yeah, you're good to go. And that's what I like to hear. So yeah, it's a military vehicle. It's not a pickup truck. It's not a commercial truck. It's an army vehicle, and it's not even finished. Like, the final build will be completed. Oh boy, what's happening here? Let's see, hear that sound? That's this switch. And last time I took a ferry, I was somewhere there, crossing like this. And on this bridge, Ambassador Bridge, it's a very old bridge, all rusted. There's constant, eternal, non-stopping repairs, you know. And they're building a new one somewhere, and I lost track of that one. There was a rumor that US and Canadian government decided to
Continue straight onto Ambassador Bridge.
decided to cooperate and build a new bridge straight from 401, basically, so that you don't have to go through the town here. And this guy, the owner of this bridge, almost had a heart attack. Some rich
On Ambassador Bridge for 1.5 kilometers.
Some rich guy from Middle East. Because of course he doesn't want that bridge. He wants to collect tolls over here. And there was some kind of war about this, legal, and so I don't know what the story is now. Are they building a second bridge or not? But you see, there's always something here. The pavement is all screwed up. Oh, now they put these. That's something new. No, these what is this? guy looks at me and he probably he saw the camera and he's thinking, what the heck is this guy doing? The camera on my head. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. For some reason they're blocking the sidewalk. I think we have to go.
Meters. Use the left 3 lanes to turn left.
So I'm back in Canada. So from here it's 3 hours, 180 miles to Cambridge, Ontario, and then I'll continue tomorrow. And we'll go somewhere here. Okay, the last thing actually I want to show you guys how my truck sounds when going through the gears with the open right window. So load is 30,000 pounds. Gross weight 78,350. So this is 7 high. And the speed limit here is 60 kilometers an hour or 40 miles per hour. And there's a few lights before I enter 401. Just to give you an idea. And this is my engine brake. Not very loud, it's more like an exhaust brake than engine brake. And this is Windsor, Ontario, and that's what they're trying to bypass with the new bridge, right? So they want to make it so that trucks don't have to go through the city, you know, to avoid all this heavy traffic and pollution and stuff like that. And I'd like that. I don't want to go through lights, you know. Give me a bypass, I would take the bypass. I'm not the, you know, bad guy here. All right, now this is it. Thanks for watching. Take care.